Okay, I'm going to try to make this a quick video. I made a longer one of the whole assembly and it was just too long to upload. This thing looks sharp. I'll give it credit for that. And it was excessively packaged. Well, not excessively, sufficiently packaged, I should say. Where the paint is not chipped, nothing is scratched on it. The box was a little bit damaged, but it came out looking perfect because it had so much packaging all over it. I mean, the paint looks good everywhere. The color scheme, the tires, everything looks really nice. One gripe, though, I have to say about all the packaging was some of the packaging was underneath those bolts. So I had to take off the deck of the scooter with those bolts in order to get some of the foam packaging off. That was annoying. At first I was having a hard time with it staying upright. There's supposed to be a plastic cap on this kickstand, but with that cap on, the scooter just kept tipping over. Super annoying. So I took the cap off, and now it's just a metal thing. It's getting scratched up, but at least it functions and it stands upright. Okay, the brake is useless. If you're buying this for the brake, forget about it. I wrote it in the comments on why it doesn't work. It's mostly just physics. The wheel's too small. This thing is too smooth. Kind of poor design. They put stickers on the rim. I mean, if the brakes were going to work, look at that. The stickers are rubbing off because that's where the brake rubs. So little things like that just show me that this was not well designed or thought through. Another mention though on the assembly. The instructions, super simple. 3 basic instructions, and there's a photo of that in my comments. But it was much more difficult than that. Like I said, I had to take off this deck just to remove some of the packaging. The brakes were not aligned whatsoever. Both brake pads, I had to loosen these bolts. Didn't include the hex keys for them, but I had to loosen these, align the pads, tighten them back up on both sides because they were off so much they were rubbing the tire. This one was just completely loose and floating around, so that was kind of an annoyance. It should have been pre-assembled, so all I had to do was put the wheel on, but that was not the case. Also, the brake pads were constantly rubbing one side, so I had to loosen this bolt on this side and put this bolt in on the other side all the way in order to get the brake pads to center on the wheel, grab evenly, and not have one side drag the wheel the entire time. Also, the brake line was not set correctly. They were too loose. No matter how hard you grab the brake on the handle, there's no braking. So I had to loosen this nut, pull the cable through, tighten it in order to actually have brake application because it was so loose. Things like this should have been pre-assembled, and I think for most buyers on Amazon, they wouldn't know how to do a lot of these bike things. I just happen to know how to do a lot of bike mechanic stuff. But the brakes are useless. You're not going to be able to stop. If you're going downhill, you squeeze the brake, almost nothing is going to happen. Your kid or yourself, a kid I guess because this is a lightweight thing, is going to have to put their foot on the tire and drag their shoe in order to effectively stop. So don't buy this if you're looking for the cool braking feature. Okay, my biggest problem with this is that the wheels and the tires are not fit perfectly. Here, let me show you on the front. Okay, you see this line on the tire? That is supposed to be your gauge line to show that the tire is mounted evenly all the way around the rim. You'll notice this looks appropriate, where that little line is around the rim all the way, but as we get around to the other side of the tire, it's being blown out. The tire is not fitting the rim properly all the way around. This is my biggest concern and the main reason why I'm giving this 1 star. I think this is a safety issue here. Now, if your kid is just going to kind of lightly pedal around the neighborhood, scoot around, probably not a big deal. But if they're like most kids, they're going to start flying down the neighborhood hill, and potentially that could be a problem. If they're doing little jumps at the skate park, at the pump track, or jumping off little obstacles. I don't know. I see this as a design flaw and a problem. The main problem might have been they used tire levers to get the tire onto the rim, and they stretched the tire out or something. Or it's just not a good tire / rim combo that it fits properly. The same issue I had with the back tire, but after finicking with it enough and kind of disinflating it and reinflating it a bunch of times, I was able to get it pretty close, but it's still not great. See the gap there versus the gap on this side is real tight. So I don't know. I think that's a safety problem. You can be the judge of that on your own, but I'm not going to let my kids go flying down the hill on this thing. I think it needs a little better quality control. You can see how the tire is pulling away, and these tires aren't inflated very much. If I inflated them more to the rated 38 psi, then it would be even more blown off the rim. So that's my big concern. But if you're buying it just for looks, man, I'll say it does look fantastic. I forgot to mention one more thing. In my effort to take the tire on and off the rim to try to get a better fit, I never actually took the tire all the way off, but I disinflated it all the way, and I peeled back the tire trying to look at where the grooves might be, the hook and the rim, and I noticed that the rim tape on the inside of the rim is not actually tape, it's just more of a ribbon. That's there to protect the tube on the inside from these called nipples, spoke nipples, which are like screw heads on the other side. It's kind of metal, they're sharp pointy ends, and if the tube is inflated and it presses on those, it could damage the tube and then you get a flat tire. The rim tape goes around there to protect the tube from the nipples. There were a couple spots where I saw that the rim tape, or ribbon, because it's not actually tape, should be tape if it was quality, but they just put a ribbon in there, was not protecting those nibbles. It just wasn't installed correctly, and those nipples were exposed, which means if you do get this and you end up with flat tires, that's probably why. And trying to replace a 12-inch tube is gonna probably be a special order on Amazon, because you're not gonna find 12-inch tubes, I don't think, at Target and Walmart and so forth. So another thing to think about, this problem I have with the quality control on this bike that makes me not able to recommend it.